Breaking news. The heat is on behind the scenes in Philadelphia. Strategic moves, high-level decisions, and relentless work are all underway as the countdown to the season ticks down. The mastermind behind it all, Howie Roseman, hasn't stopped for a second. Every decision is calculated to keep this team on top. We're the reigning Super Bowl champions, and while that fills us with pride, Nick Sirianni and his staff know one thing. Repeating that feat takes total focus, hard work, and discipline. When I look at this roster, I see pure talent, flawless structure, and an entire city ready to back us up. Honestly, I believe we can make it to Super Bowl 60. If you believe it too, shout it with me in the comments. Go Birds! I believe. Landon Dickerson's situation took a concerning turn during the Eagles' only open practice of the summer at Lincoln Financial Field, when the Pro Bowl left guard went down late in the session and had to be carted off. The play itself didn't look dramatic at first glance, but upon closer review, his left foot appeared to get stepped on by Jordan Mailata, forcing his right leg into an awkward position before he collapsed to the turf. He stayed down on all fours for several moments before walking gingerly toward the cart, a worrying sight given his extensive history with knee injuries dating back to college. Dickerson, who tore ACLs in both knees during his time at Alabama, has dealt with occasional knee issues in the pros, and that injury history was a noted concern when Philadelphia drafted him in the second round. Now, with an MRI scheduled, the team is holding its breath to learn whether there's any ligament damage, be it ACL, MCL, meniscus, or otherwise. The one piece of good news is that early reports indicate it's not an Achilles injury, but until the imaging results come back, uncertainty looms large. If Dickerson is sidelined for any significant stretch, the ripple effects would be massive. This is not only about replacing an elite blocker who just last offseason secured an $84 million contract extension. It's also about losing one of the most respected leaders in the locker room. His voice and energy in pre-game huddles are well known, and his reminder earlier in camp that every team has an expiration date set the tone for the 2024 Eagles mindset. Fortunately, the Eagles have the NFL's best offensive line coach in Jeff Stoutland, a man with a proven track record of molding depth into reliable starters. There are internal options: rookie Trevor Keegan, utility lineman Brett Toth, swingman Tyler Steen, who filled in for Dickerson at left guard in last year's NFC Championship, and former starter Matt Pryor. There's also Kenyon Green, acquired in the C.J. Gardner-Johnson deal, though he's currently battling his own injury issues and struggled mightily in Houston. Even converted tackles like Cam Williams and Miles Hinton could slide inside if needed, while Drew Kendall brings college experience at center and
guard. Externally, the most notable free agent is Brandon Scherff, a former top 5 pick who remains solid but is clearly in the twilight of his career. Howie Roseman has never been shy about making a deal if the right fit emerges, and with 3.5 weeks until the season opener against Dallas, time remains to find a solution. Still, replacing Dickerson's combination of power, mobility, and football IQ will be no easy task. This is a player who helps unlock the Eagles' run game, who can pull and seal edges, and who is equally adept in pass protection. His absence would change the complexion of this offensive front, even with all-pro talent elsewhere. While the injury news dominates early week headlines, there's also an intriguing subplot ahead: joint practices with the Browns leading into Saturday's preseason clash at the Link. And for that game, all eyes will be on Cleveland's rookie quarterback, Shedeur Sanders. Love him or question him, Sanders is a magnet for attention. His debut last weekend was strong enough to earn extended snaps against Philadelphia, according to Browns head coach Kevin Stefanski. Sanders has his critics. Some point to a rocky pre-draft process and a reputation for projecting stardom before proving it, but he also brings accuracy, poise in the red zone, and the ability to dissect blitzes, all traits that served him well at Colorado. He's not the biggest, fastest, or strongest armed QB, but in the preseason spotlight, his name alone guarantees storylines and ratings. For the Eagles' defense, this matchup offers a chance to test Vic Fangio's schemes against a young passer with a lot to prove. Sanders' tendency to hold onto the ball too long and the sacks he took in college could be costly against a front as talented as Philadelphia's. And make no mistake, when a player with Sanders' profile steps onto the field, defenders take it personally. They'll be gunning for interceptions, sacks, and highlight plays knowing the national spotlight is brighter. Add that to the defending Super Bowl champions playing at home in one of football's loudest environments, and you have the makings of a preseason game that feels far bigger than it actually is in the standings. With Dickerson's health in question, a national audience tuned in, and a polarizing rookie QB on the other sideline, Saturday's matchup suddenly feels like must-watch football. The stakes may be unofficial, but the intensity won't be. How concerned are you about Dickerson's injury and the impact it could have on the Eagles' offensive line heading into the season? The MRI results on Landon Dickerson will dictate so much of what happens over the next few weeks for the Eagles, both in terms of roster decisions and overall offensive cohesion. If the scan shows nothing more than a minor sprain or swelling, Philadelphia can breathe a sigh of relief and keep him sidelined until he's fully ready. But if it reveals a tear or significant structural damage, Howie Roseman and Jeff Stoutland will have to act quickly. The Eagles' offensive line is the foundation of everything they do. It's what allows Jalen Hurts to extend plays. It's what creates the lanes for Saquon Barkley to exploit. And it's what enables this offense to dictate tempo. Losing your left guard, especially one of the league's best, would test that foundation immediately. That's why depth and versatility matter so much here. Tyler Steen is the logical next man up, given his prior experience stepping in for Dickerson, but Stoutland could also consider a rotation approach during the preseason to see which combination gels best. Brett Toth's adaptability to multiple positions, Trevor Keegan's youth and upside, and Matt Pryor's 1,000+ snaps at guard are all pieces in the puzzle. The idea wouldn't be to find another Dickerson, because you can't, but to ensure the drop-off is manageable and that Hurts still gets the pocket stability he needs. If Roseman looks outside the building, Brandon Scherff's name will continue to be floated. His technique, savvy, and leadership might bridge the gap, even if his peak years are behind him. And while all of this is unfolding, the joint practices with Cleveland offer valuable reps not just for the offensive line shuffle, but for evaluating the rest of the roster under real competition. Vic Fangio will no doubt use these sessions to stress test his defense against Shedeur Sanders. The rookie's skill set, quick reads, sharp short to intermediate accuracy, and a knack for threading throws in the red zone means the Eagles' linebackers and secondary will need to be disciplined. Sanders isn't the type to wow with a 70-yard bomb, but he's capable of methodically moving the chains, which can frustrate a defense and keep them on the field. What makes this even more compelling is the emotional layer. Sanders comes in with a reputation. Some see him as overconfident, others as a competitor who embraces the spotlight. Either way, Philadelphia's defensive line will want to humble him quickly. Haason Reddick, Jalen Carter, Josh Sweat, and Jordan Davis all have the ability to collapse a pocket and force the rookie into rush decisions. If Sanders holds onto the ball like he did at Colorado, the pass rush could feast. From a fan's perspective, this preseason matchup is a rare combination. The defending champs at home, a controversial young QB opponent, and the first real glimpse at how the Eagles adapt without one of their core offensive linemen. There's also the ripple effect of Sanders' presence on ratings and atmosphere. Week 1's Browns watch party numbers showed just how much of a draw he is, and now he's walking into Philadelphia, where the crowd will be louder, the pass rush will be faster, and every mistake will be magnified. The bigger picture for the Eagles is this.